It is the 400th Fantasy Golf Degenerate show. And as always, I'm bringing to you the co-host of the show, the glue, the literal glue that keeps the show together and the glue that you guys sniff through the audio waves. Kenny motherfucking Kim. Kenny, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, man, pretty crazy. 400 episodes, almost 10 years. A lot of people to thank. Honestly, when they started this thing back in 2015, never really thought it would get to 2025, but here we are. Shout out to Zach Woods, Brad Messersmith, Tyler Tamboline, and of course, Byron Lindeque, the four hosts that I've had on this show in the last 10 years. It's been a good time. All the people we've worked with, from Roto Grinders to Project Roto, to back in the day, some stuff that I can't even remember. Brad used to work with so many people so often. I know Fanshare Sports, and they got sold. I know we worked with like some company that had a nice little DFS product. We were pushing them. They got bought out by FanDuel for a shit ton of money. So like we've worked with so many people, and there's so many people to thank that, I can't get to all of them on this show, but it's been a really great run. I'm looking forward to more. Maybe we get to 500. We shall see. But 400 episodes, pretty big deal. I'm looking forward to see what happens next.
Congratulations, Kenny. And before we forget, one more thank you to the Underdog Fantasy who bring you this show every single week, including episode number 400. Can you freaking believe it? 400, Kenny. Do you know how many times like that is? That's like what?
400?
Yeah, like 500 hours. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to put it all into context, but I'll just let that be. Kenny, how was your weekend? What'd you get up to? How was the golf?
I watched the golf for the most part. The Commanders didn't do that well on Sunday, but if we're talking about golf, lots of chatter on the social media machine this past week. First off, congrats to Harris English and all the backers that he had. Sort of angry that I didn't have him last week at 100-1, but a lot of people did. Great win. Nobody in our YouTube comment page had it this week. So once again, go to our YouTube comments page, pick who you think will win. The first person to pick the correct answer, correct golfer, will get a month free of Byron's Discord, all that great info. If you follow him on X, you can see all the great stuff that he's been providing. It's definitely a great place to be, to chat, to get all the information you need to get a free month. So make sure you go to our YouTube channel, go to the comment section, and pick who you're going to win. But no winner this past week. Harris just did his thing, Sam Stevens tried to come and make it. And again, another guy I'm sort of pissed off that I didn't really play last week because, I always say, Sam Stevens, you play on driver-heavy courses. That's exactly what the Torium is, and for some reason didn't have him on my players that I played on DFS or bets. So he had, Novak is a guy I've been playing a lot for a while. He sort of, didn't really come through at the end. Too many ups and downs in that final round.
What a crazy round! One par in the first 10 holes.
Yeah, I think he started bogey, and so that wasn't great for him. And then we got to talk about the wind and the weather.
And Aldrich.
A little bit. Oh, yeah, well, we'll talk about Aldrich. But the wind and the weather on Thursday came a day early. I thought it was going to come on Friday. Didn't really judge for that on Underdog or anything like that. But again, that's my own damn fault for trusting a weather report, right? Early in the week, you got to check the day before. That was my dumbass making a mistake. You know what I'm saying? So
I just took your word for it, Kenny. I'm like, oh, Kenny's got this weather figured out.
Yeah, well, that's what it was supposed to be. And then, of course, that was Monday when I looked, and my dumbass didn't look again. And then the slow play, of course, is something that we has been a problem. 5.5 hour round for the final group, almost 6 hours. We should probably expect something similar this week because they are playing with amateurs for half the event. We'll talk about that in a little bit longer, but what else do you want to talk about?
With the weather, Kenny, I ran the numbers, and there hasn't been a single round where the North course played more difficult than the South since 2017. The closest it ever got was 0.3 strokes easier. It tied it up this year. Like in that second round, the North course was essentially the hardest it's ever been relative to the South course, which is something we don't ever really see. And I had Tony Finau for 2 units over there. I had Shane Lowry for 3 units over there. It is what it is. This was just a complete bloodbath when it comes to the weather, and you just embrace it. It is what it is. You go ahead and you just move on to what seems like some nice calm weather in Pebble Beach. But Aldrich Potgieter, boy, you know what? We cashed a plus 850 top 20, and it feels like our mother just died.
With
like
a birdie on 18.
I know, it was one of the most clutch birdies ever, because it would have sucked to have lost every single bet on him. I mean, that was such a fun sweat. And after the first 2 holes, it was like, let's go. And then he turned himself into the Sandman, and the next thing could not miss a bunker. Just completely beached himself. Beached ass, bro. Have you ever seen that video? Go watch that at some point. If you haven't, it's like a giant whale that's just beached ass. Anyway,
I think something, when it comes to him, he's always going to be around a crazy long shot, even after his performance this past weekend. And you see a long course with thicker rough, driver heavy. It seems like a pretty auto bet at like 150 to 1 or greater every time you see him, until he starts being consistent. Because he's only made a couple of cuts on the PGA Tour. Hasn't been that many. I think yesterday or this past weekend might have been his 3rd or 4th out of 9 in his career. Some as an amateur and stuff like that. So once he gets a little bit more consistent, I'm sure that number will go down. But for now, anytime you see him on the course that's 7,500 yards, driver heavy,
without bunkers,
rough up. It might be a good like Firestone if we still played it, or something like that, or Quail. But they're playing the PGA Championship there this year instead of the Wells Fargo. I don't even know if you make it to the Wells Fargo, but if you like maybe Houston this year,
the Memorial.
If you see him, you probably won't make the Memorial either.
No, sorry,
you're gonna have to see
Memorial Park is where
Memorial Park.
Yeah, sorry,
where it's long and difficult. I think that's another time to use him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Trevor mentioned he needs to chat to Paul Azinger or someone with the short game, because it's obviously a glaring issue. But Kenny, he's got one of the things that some people just cannot. Like, anyone can get a good short game if you practice hard enough. Your physical capabilities doesn't necessarily. No. He. I think through the first 2 rounds, the difference between him off the tee, strokes gained, to second was the same distance as second to 22nd or something strange like that. Like the gap, the separator, just effortless as well. Like, he doesn't look like he's going after it. It's just so
like if you're thinking, maybe Bryson would be a good course fit for this course that we're looking at this week. Plug in Potgieter, right?
Yes.
Plug him in.
Yes.
Plug him in.
Amen. So looking forward to him. He's generational when it comes to that kind of power, and hopefully he can hone in the rest of his skills. It'd be very cool to have him. 20 years old, Kenny. 20 years old.
So anything else about last week before we move on?
My child had its first full night of sleep. So I got 7 full hours for the first time in 7 weeks. So that was phenomenal. And
that must be nice.
That was Friday night. So I woke up on Saturday morning feeling like I could take on the world. And that quickly changed that afternoon.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Let's talk about pace of play.
Sure.
Let's talk about it. I know I put out some stuff this past week on the X about the pace of play and how much of a problem it has been. And do you, first question for you, do you think pace of play is a cause for the ratings decline? Because I think it's sort of iffy in that situation.
I don't know. I think it's a combination of the two. Like, the longer they play, the more commercials we see.
Yeah. I think the problem with pace of play is when you watch golf, when you watch any other sport, you're going to get 3 hours of football and it's going to be over. A game, unless it goes to baseball, unless it goes to OT, you got 3 hours, and they even have a time clock now on the pitching to make those things go faster. It seems like every sport has made an effort at some point in time to either make it more watchable with, the NFL giving all the power to offenses instead of defenses, because people want to watch scoring, right? And then, like I said, the baseball shot clock, the NBA even reduced the 10-second rule, but to get the ball past half court to 8. There's been attempts in every
Incremental
single
fixes.
yes, in every single sport except golf. And the reason why it hasn't happened in golf is because golf has relied on superstars. You went from Arnold Palmer, you went to Jack right after, and you went to Tiger, right? Well, what that did for the TV coverage, especially Tiger, is it brought the eyes into all the events that those guys played. And in the meantime, casuals who watch that event might become a fan of some random golfer that they watch, a Homa, a Hovland, or something like that. If there was an elite guy and guys are watching that one elite guy, which we have in Scheffler, but he just has no juice, right? That's why I make up those stories about him, just to give him a little bit more personality, right?
Yeah.
Even though if it's 100% fake, right? Because he's just the most boring guy out there.
100% fake.
Yeah. It's not his fault, right? I mean, I'm not saying this against Scotty. He's doing his thing. He's out there. He's dominating the sport. But to have someone out there who dominates a sport and is just so vanilla in every single aspect of his life. Like when you get wrongfully arrested by the police and you apologize to the police. I mean, come on, man. Just show me a little bit of fire, something out there, right? And so we're not going to get that from him. And so another problem is you're not going to see that much of a difference between the best, like Tiger, to number 2 as it used to be. And the one reason I think that is because of the equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
The equipment nowadays is so forgiving. Like when I got my new driver a year and a half ago, it went from my worst club to my best club in automatic. Like I didn't change my swing, right? I still had the same swing, the same shitty golf swing that I've normally always had. All I did was change the equipment and update it from 10 years ago to now, right? And then I'm hitting the ball, even when I tow it, I'm still hitting it like 220 down the middle, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it has the bend on it, but it's still landing like where a good spot. If this is happening for me, you know, it's happening for the pros. And so what you're missing to get these like elite superstars are guys who try stuff that normal golfers wouldn't try and they make it. And it's amazing, right? When Tiger was in his prime, you know, he was hitting balls 280 yards with like with an iron out there, like shit that people just, you couldn't fathom doing, right? And nobody else would do, like very rare. But nowadays, since the equipment is so good, it brings everybody closer together, right? And so because of that, you can't get the separation from the greatest player in the game to the next player. And that separation is what Tiger, Jack, and Arnie had. And that's what brought people to the TV. Now, without that there has to be changes, I think. Because it's going to be harder if the equipment doesn't change and the equipment keeps getting better. It's going to keep everyone bunched up, right? And so what you need to do at that point in time is you got to make changes to the coverage, which they haven't done because they felt like they haven't needed to. So the first issue would be pace of play, right? The second issue would be the final round taking 6 hours is a pace of play thing. What? I mean, hear me out. What I think needs to happen is some type of monumental change. You can't do half measures and fix what is a broken product that on TV, especially nowadays with younger people having a shorter attention span. They're not going to spend 6 hours on Sunday watching the final round. So just a couple of suggestions, and people are going to think I'm crazy. And the golfers that this happened are going to go insane, right? They're going to hate it.
Let's go.
They're going to hate it. But like if there's no superstar in the next 10, 20 years, and this is what we're getting, we don't get a change. I mean, we're looking at like 250,000 people that watched the last event, right? Or the Amex, right? That's getting close to live numbers. Right? I mean, that's how far low the ratings have gotten for golf events. I mean, we're sniffing live numbers on the PGA Tour, right? And
I mean, that is bottom of the barrel event, though, Kenny.
But the thing is, but then you look at the TGL, and I know it's early, but people are watching it, right? It might not be our cup of tea. It might not be something, but like the younger crowds are watching it. It's quick, it's fast paced. You know what I'm saying? And more people are watching it, right? So obviously there has to be some type of change.
What are we doing?
And we saw last week at the TGL that golfers can follow the rules. Like Cantlay was hitting shots with like 20 seconds left on the shot clock, right? You would never, ever see that on the PGA Tour because no one enforces it, right? They enforce the rule in TGL. You have a clock, you see it, everybody plays by the rules, right? Now, a shot clock, I think, is too detrimental to a golfer and their mental, right? I think having a shot clock above every player or something like that is too much. What I think needs to happen is I think there needs to be a set time for your round. And you can change that, and the PGA can change that every week, depending on the course, depending on the conditions, depending on the wind, right? They can change that time. Let's make it 4.5 hours, okay? You have 4.5 hours to finish your 18 holes. This gives you time where if you have to really think about a shot, you can take your time. You just got to make it up on other shots where it's a nice easy shot and you're in the middle of the fairway, you got your yardage, you got your win, go hit, right? Now, if you're having to play some crazy loop around trees, shit like that, okay. Take your time, but you got to make up for it. And then the first team, the first grouping who has a bad time, they get penalized. Nobody else behind them.
That's what I was going to argue with.
Nobody else behind them gets penalized.
Dude.
Okay? The only issue here is if a group gets way back and they start playing speed golf to catch up and the group behind them is lagging or playing regular time now, that's the one caveat that they would have to find a way to finagle in this group. But I think a time for each, that's one suggestion that I have, okay? Making it based upon the entire round. And everybody has the same amount of time in the group. My second thing is really wild, okay?
Yeah, hold on, Kenny. I thought of another question. So what if the person within that group, there's one person like Matt Fitzpatrick and the other person like Candy? Does Fitz get whacked because Candy took forever?
Yeah, because what that's going to lead to is self-policing. What that is going to lead to is self-policing. With guys who when you play with these guys that are slow, right? And the thing is they have that
Rory
rule,
Sabatini like walking up the fairways,
no, it'll be worse. They'll talk shit to him, like, yo, speed the fuck up.
Okay.
You're not gonna cost me strokes. You're not gonna cost me strokes, right? That's not what's happening now. Like if you have a bad time, the group has a bad time, but no one is being docked penalty for it, right?
I'm done.
Once you start docking penalties for guys, and it happens repeatedly, people are going to step up and be like, yo, dude, this shit's not right, right? It'll cause more drama, first off. Drama is something that you've sort of been missing on tour.
Manufactured drama.
It'll cause rivalries. It'll cause, good things. I mean, that type of like discourse between athletes is normally a good thing, right? Talking shit, stuff like that. I mean, you just don't see it in golf because it's a gentleman's game, right? But like, if you're gonna cost me strokes, the gentleman's shit's out the window. You're costing me money.
Yeah, that's competitive.
You're costing me my livelihood, right?
Let's go.
I ain't gonna fuck with that, right? Cantlay Patrick, speed the fuck up, and people are gonna say that to him in the middle of the round because honestly, it's gonna affect the bottom line. And as we know from golf, the last 3 years, bottom line pretty fucking important to these players, right? Pretty fucking important to these guys. So it's going to cause self-policing. And I think that's one way to go. The second idea I have is to just completely change the way we format tournaments, right? Steal from Live. Because what I would think is you have 108 players that play. Thursday, 54 players go out. Thursday morning, scramble start. The scramble start on Sunday on the final round of Live is the problem. You want to see everybody finish on the same holes. The first 3 rounds doesn't really matter. Does it really matter in the first 3 rounds if they decide to go scramble? So have all 18 groups of 54 players start at the same time. 4.5-hour window in the morning, 4.5-hour window for the other 54 in the afternoon. Yeah. Because you're doing this, you automatically get to see more golfers because they're already on the course. It's easier with the cameras. It's easier for the TV production, right? You just have a couple of holes where you can just go to and and you can just see everyone pass. You can use the feature holes, whatever, on ESPN Plus.
Yes.
Be able to see a lot more golfers, and they be coming every hole, right? You know, I mean, and it's just nonstop.
And I don't need a commentator on those holes either.
Yeah.
Take them, kick them out of that live stream.
And so
hole.
again,
let us just watch.
The golf is narrowed down to 2 segments where guys can come in. If you just want to watch the back 9 of each round, 2.5 hours. Thursday afternoon, 2.5 hours. Friday afternoon, 2.5 hours. On the TV coverage, you watch that back 9, right? Saturday morning, 3rd round. You do it again with the cut goes to 54 from 108, okay? And then the cut goes, and then you do the same scramble on Saturday morning. Then
restaggered it though, obviously.
The final round starts Saturday afternoon. 9 holes. First 9. 2 hours, 2.5 hours every Saturday. Younger people can go out there. They can watch in 2 hours, enjoy the coverage, bounce. Quick, easy, because the Sunday is what is the most important. Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon is the most important for TV coverage, right? That's when it's on the major networks. So you play 9 holes, 2 hours, knock it out. A 2-hour coverage window on CBS. You start from the leaders, okay, on 1. There's already a shit ton of people already on the course. No, I'm sorry, that's Sunday. And that's Saturday afternoon. Everyone starts on 1. No scramble start. Everybody starts on 1. And you got, 28? You go down to 20. You go down to 24 golfers in the final round. A second cut. A second cut. Okay? You make the cut after the first 2 rounds. It's like the old MDF, right? Like the old made the cut but did not finish. You still get paid. If you play Saturday, you still get paid, right? Yeah. But then that 54 drops to 24 after the Saturday morning. Then you start 8 groups, right? 8 groups. They start on 1, play 9 holes. They go Sunday afternoon coverage. Start on 10, 9 holes. Everybody finishes on 18. The coverage window is only 2.5 hours. What everybody really wants to watch is the back 9 anyways of each tournament. It shortens the TV coverage. It makes it easier for the TV production crew to get cameras on more guys. Now, does it drastically change the entire notion of golf? Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Both of these things, both of my ideas change everything about golf. But if we're not going to get a true superstar who brings juice, and I don't think we are because of the equipment issue, unless they do something to draw stuff back. Because, I mean, like, it used to be if a guy hit like a 260-yard par 3 over water, onto the green, that's like a 1 in 100 shot, right? Now it's like 1 in 10.
Yeah.
Right? It's like 1 in 10.
No, it's like 1 in 2, dude.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, like, everybody does it now. Yeah. Right? And the thing is, the courses aren't long enough where, people are driving the ball so far, you're not seeing those amazing type shots anymore either. So people want to roll the ball back. I never really was big on it, but I think it could really, what it would do is it would space out the elite of the elite. And honestly, like, that's what brings viewers in. the Tigers, the Jacks, the Arnies. Like competitive, like, and the thing is, like, another problem that they're having nowadays is like the elite guys, they don't win. They don't win. Spieth hasn't won in forever. Justin Thomas hasn't won forever. Howard hasn't won in forever.
Sanjay.
Sanjay hasn't won in forever.
Sam Burns.
Sammy Burns hasn't won. The only, like,
Tony.
They don't win. Right? They don't win. And you see a lot of guys without their obvious skill set win more often. And I think that's because of the equipment. These elite guys with super talent can't jump away from the pack because of the equipment. But again, that's just my take. Because I think if there's no superstar and there's no one to bring the eyes in the next 10 to 20 years, like, this could get really bad. Like you won't even get coverage on
Kenny,
a major
we got some
network.
Ludwig brewing. People love Ludwig. He's still young.
But he's not winning.
In the
he only
eyes,
has one win.
He's not. But he's finding himself
People love
there enough.
Hovland. He's not winning.
I know.
We don't have a superstar. Just great golfers. Having a bunch of great golfers is not a good thing. It's not a good thing. For TV coverage, for casuals, for people for the growth of golf to grow in eyeballs on TV. Because here's the thing: golf already has a humongous advantage compared to other sports because we play golf, right?
Yes.
We go out there and play every weekend. And so that should just naturally bring us to watch the best do it, because it's amazing to see what these guys are doing. And we go out there and ham and egg it every Saturday, right? And here's the thing: the people playing golf has exploded since COVID. The numbers are humongous on how much more people play golf, and the ratings are the worst it's ever been. Like that, there's a disconnect there. There is a disconnect
there. The people
there.
that should be watching are playing golf, Kenny.
But they will make time to go play, to watch if they really wanted to.
No, I agree
they
with
don't
you.
because the coverage is horrible.
It is horrible.
And the thing is, I don't think you can half measure them. It has to be something completely drastic. It's going to affect golfers' livelihoods. It's going to affect the golfers' games big time until they get used to it. And then in 10 years and 20 years, it'll be the normal. So one generation of golfers will have to suffer. Can that happen? Probably unlikely.
Do you think?
Don't think
unlikely?
Do you think that they're gonna get better if they only play 2 9s? Like, you think they'll like?
No, I think that's just for TV coverage.
Okay,
that's not for the golfers.
Yeah, they won't like that at all.
That's just for.
But for us, that makes tons of sense.
They're gonna hate it. But 2 hours. That's all you got. That's all you need on a Saturday. 2 hours. That's all you need on a Sunday, right? You don't have to watch 18 holes from the beginning, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen in the first 9 holes before you start watching on the back. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of casuals, they'll probably start picking it up on the back. Why not just make it the back on Sunday? Just make it the back 9 on Sunday.
Back 9 bets, baby.
And again, these are off the wall suggestions. The first one, the group timing, I think is doable. This second option is definitely off the wall. I'm crazy.
Yeah, but it's maybe something good comes of that. Like, there's some variation of that makes sense. Like a whole bunch of the guys at the bottom of the board only play, and then everyone that's at the top plays on Sunday or something. Like something like that. But I do think, Kenny, there's a shot clock makes tons of sense. Give the guy 1 or 2 timeouts.
See, the problem with the shot clock is human error. You're going to have a volunteer on every hole. That guy's going to have to start the clock at the right time every hole. It's going to have to happen.
That's literally walking around with a stick with plastic letters stuck in there.
Do you see shot tracker? How often the numbers are wrong? That's volunteer.
What about a hole timer? You have a set time for just the one hole that they've predetermined, right?
Okay, that would be fine, but I don't see why you can't do that with the entire round.
Yeah, that's true.
Why can't you do that? Why can't you do that with the entire
If it's
round?
already compiled. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Just give us a time for each round. And
I
the
get
guys
it.
have to
I get
finish
it.
in that time. Like, it would fuck people up, but I don't think it'd be as drastic as a shot clock being perched over your ear, counting down, you know, when you have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 left.
Right.
You know
But
what I'm
I
saying?
don't think it's like the human error of that shot clock isn't the big issue, because it will organically make these people play faster anyway. So if you're missing it by 1 or 2 seconds because of human error, that's not that's not what I'm splitting hairs about.
Yeah,
It's
but the
just
problem is if
getting
it's a
the
rule,
mindset.
if it's a rule and you have to follow it and you have to do it, 1 or 2 seconds is a competitive edge.
Sure, but that'll be this is super simple to do. You're walking around with the pole. You're not doing any shot clock stuff afterwards. Or just have another guy.
So when does it start? Because the issue is, what, you have a minute when you're over the ball? Every golfer on tour hits the ball inside of a minute when they're over the ball.
Maybe
it's when they're talking to the caddies.
It's once
when they're
you've
talking
put
to their caddies.
Yeah.
It's when they're talking to the caddies. It's when they're checking the wind. It's when they're trying to figure out the yardages. It's when they're looking at their book. So putting a shot clock 45 seconds when the guy goes up to hit, what's that changing?
No,
Nothing.
It's not when
Nothing.
The shot clock wouldn't make any sense if you're standing over the ball. The shot clock has to be including your process.
But when does the process start?
There's a way to figure it out. You cannot just randomly stop super far behind your ball. Like, once you put the bag down behind the ball, boom, that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
There's too much leeway there.
But then again, self-policing, Kenny, if you think that someone's going to do this.
All you got to do is make the time total. That's it. 4.5
hours to finish around.
that
impacts the other person, though, because you can't play the hole without if you got a fast guy with the slow guy, you can't do anything about it.
Though. That's what I want. I want accountability.
But Kenny, you can do that with the shot clock, because if if they jipping the system, the guy will call him out. It's like, hey, Kenny, fuck you. You can't put your bag down 20 yards behind.
My way brings added drama. It brings added, confrontation, right? And that's what it brings. Like, that's not a bad thing. That's what I'm looking for when this happens. Because, again, you just don't see that in golf, right? You don't see it. It's these nice guys going out, playing, hitting the ball. Hey, hooray. You hit the ball 320 yards. Good for you. Great shot. Good ball.
I'm with you. I feel you. But also putting your bag down 20 yards short of where the shot clock starts.
The majority of fans don't want that. Give me the round. Make people accountable. Force golfers to police themselves.
Yeah.
Force them to do it.
Good.
That's what I want. And
agreed.
I think that's the best way to do it.
I'm down.
Right.
I'm down. There's variations. I think there's definitely a solution. Yeah. If they can't find
there isn't, because it's not going to happen. There is no solution.
There is a literal solution. Like, not will the PGA provide a solution?
Well, here's the problem. Like I said, this is going to fuck people up. This is going to fuck golfers up. It's going to change their entire game. Some golfers won't be able to handle it, and they'll lose their card.
A part that wasn't going to generate them any money because of future production anyway. So they are casualties.
And I'm not talking about shitty golfers. I'm talking about guys who are really good. So they're not going to make it. They're not. And
that must walk faster between shots. Get to your.
I understand, but the reason why it won't happen is because the golfers run everything.
Yeah, exactly. There's a literal solution. If we did this, we could figure it out. Is the PGA going to do it? No. That's the problem. Yeah, that's the biggest issue. Is Jay Monahan needs to get kicked in the dick because we're not figuring anything out here at all.
It's obvious they can follow rules. We saw Patrick Cantlay hitting with 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Those are my suggestions on how to fix it. I think, certain ways to bring more drama into the game would be helpful. And a shot clock or a time clock or a round clock will help that. And I want the golfers to be angry at each other.
Oh, yeah.
I want them to self-police each other, because that's the only way it's going to stop.
Yeah, totally agreed, dude. And speaking about stopping, let's run some ads here, Mike.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's also the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. I personally like the pick'em games. Pick whether your favorite players will have a higher or lower stat total in this week's game for a chance to win big. Can win up to 100 times your money in a single night. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. Can also make rivals picks, which pits 2 players against each other. Now, the reason I like the pick'em games is because of these things called scorchers. There's these little chili peppers next to the golfers' names, and if you click on that, it adds to your multiplier, so you can win even more money. Sign up today with promo code Mayo and get your first deposit doubled up to $100, as well as an instant pick'em special. Must be 18 or over and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org. All right, so let's get to this week. Finally, let's get to AT&T Pebble Beach. Let's go over the courses first off. The PGA Tour, it heads up the coast to California this week as golfers get prepared to play the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-AM. Golfers are going to play on 2 courses this week, not 3 like we've seen it in the past, since this has become a signature event. 80-man field, no cut. The Pro-Am will only take place the first 2 days, right? In those 2 rounds, golfers are going to play Pebble and Spyglass. Normally, this event, course history is ranked pretty highly. And I still am looking at course history pretty strongly. But, with the one course, Monterey being gone, there is merit to not looking at course history as much, especially for elite golfers, because the guys who are at the top of the, FedEx Cup or the OWGR, they don't play this course that often. They played it last year because it was a signature event, but before that, many of these top guys never played this course. So looking at course history, especially for the top guys, you could probably avoid that with them. Now, one thing you might want to take a peek at is people who have been really successful at Monterey, right? I mean, if you think about the golfers that were successful just at Monterey with the course being gone, that's 25% of all your scoring used to be on this, like Rory, Max Homa, Bezinhook, Seamus Power, Wyndham Clark.
Like fading those guys?
No, well, these guys who rank top, this is all from PGA Tout. John Hasselbauer, go follow him at PGA Tout. He's like, of note, there are 7 players in the field who rank in the top 30 in strokes gained total on both Pebble and Spyglass. So these are the ones you want to target, right? Rory, Max Homa, Bezinhook, Seamus Power, Wyndham Clark. These players stand to see a slight boost from past performance. Now conversely, Eric Cole, Kurt Kitayama, Lucas Glover are potential sell high candidates with great history on Monterey, but not on the other 2 courses. Really good follow. If you don't follow PGA Tout, make sure you go follow him. Always a good guy on X. But that's something to think about as we get into this week. When it comes to cash, I'm definitely going to look more at course history. That's just the way it is. And my cash lineup, you could be a little bit more aggressive in these type of weeks. There's no cut, right? Right now, my cash lineup has like 4 guys over 8,500.
Ooh, wow.
And
because
then
no cut.
Yeah, because of no cut, and then a 7K guy, like literally at 7K, and then like low 6K guy. Again, because there's no cut. The way I'm going about cash is I want 4 guys up there who I think can win this event. And my 5th guy, Danny McCarthy, who was one of my final cash game cornerstones, I think can contend with a couple of top 15s here in the last 3 years. And then I'm doing a punt play. I'm going back to my old school punt when it comes to this. It's an easy punt this week at Justin Rose, right? Down when it comes down to it with the course history at $6,300, you can easily make a lineup that's, 4 guys, Keegan Bradley, Jason Day, Patrick Cantley, Justin Thomas. Don't sound like 4 guys who can win this event. They all fit, right? They all fit.
Yeah.
All right. And so let's go move on to some trends.
So was that just the cash game cornerstone in the middle of the course preview there, Kenny?
Basically, it was. But we'll go
freebie.
over a little free. That's actually the entire cash lineup for you right there, if you guys are paying attention. Now, some trends before we get to the course. Only one golfer has won here on their maiden start since 1950. 11 of the last 16 winners had a top 10 in one of their last 3 appearances here. That one I'm probably not paying as much attention to because, again, like I said, a lot of the elite guys, they haven't played this course very often. Let's see, a couple of more. And, of course, the weather is always important. This course, like I think 2014, it was the 7th most difficult course on tour, Pebble. I think like 2017 or 2018, it was like the what was it? The 35th, 45th easiest course. It's like the easiest course on tour. Like in 2017, it's weather, wind dependent, but there is a caveat to that. And we saw it a little bit last week at the Farmers. The lack of rain in California. I don't know what their water rules are. If they're allowed to water, I mean, I'm guessing they are.
Yeah, that
like,
shit is green as balls, buddy. It's like,
yeah, but I mean, even last week, the greens had a little bit of punch to them. They had a little bounce. They're a lot firmer than they normally think. And you saw, if it's like that again, these are the smallest greens on tour. A little extra hop here will roll you off those elevated greens, and you got a chip from a tight lie. Definitely makes the course a little bit more difficult. So make sure you check on that as the week goes on. And I think you will see mid to high teens under par as a winning score. Now, Pebble Beach, 6,800 plus yard, par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. 2 of the par 5s are reachable by all. 1 won't be reachable by hardly any. That's the 14th. And 1 is reachable by the long hitters. That's 18. Again, that could change because of the rollout. These fairways might not have seen that much water either. We'll have to make sure we check early on as the week goes on to see how much roll and how firm these greens are. The course hugs the coastline. Breathtaking views. Brutal conditions if the wind picks up. Off the tee, golfers are going to see fairways that are above average in size with bunkers guarding the landing zones. This is a Pro-Am, so I don't expect the rough to be tall on any of these 2 courses to start out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they let it grow each day of the event since the AMs don't play on the weekend. If golfers miss wildly off the tee, OB comes into play since nearly half the holes sit alongside the Pacific Ocean. On approach shots, golfers are going to see tiny, tiny greens, just a bit of undulation and slope. There is one of the toughest golf courses for putts from 5 to 15 feet. Golfers will once again have to deal with bumpy POA greens on both courses this week. The greens usually aren't crazy fast, and I expect the stick meter to be around 10.5. Many bunkers and false fronts around these greens. I would think maybe as the week goes on, that stick goes up. Now, and again, we'll have to see based upon the wind. If there's not that much wind, after the first 2 days of AMs, I don't see why they keep it slow. They should probably try and roll it, mow it, and then, I would expect 11 or higher on the weekend, but we shall see. Spyglass, 7,000 yard par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s. All the par 5s are reachable. Again, this is something that you can look at when you look at Underdog. Once again, just make sure you pay attention to the weather.
Pay attention to the weather.
Pay attention to the weather. Do as I say, not as I do. All right. And so again, the 4 par 5s are the easiest holes on the course. So you're looking at a lot more birdie potential here. But if the wind gets up, the Spyglass course can actually play more difficult than the Pebble. So make sure you keep an eye on that. If it's not that much wind, those par 5 should be pretty easy to score. Many more trees off the tee. Golfers are going to see average size fairways, just a few fairway bunkers. If they're wild, they're going to have to deal with some water. Approach shots are going to see slightly larger greens than Pebble Beach, but the greens have much more slope and undulation. Byron, why don't you go ahead and talk about what are you looking for in golfers this week?
Yeah, I removed a lot of around the green play, Kenny, because I think that's something that you really have to pay attention to for the weather. I think if it's calm and cool and collected, we're going to see a lot of green regulations. I mean, these are some of the easiest fairways to hit on the tour as well, because you're just laying up with 3 irons and 3 woods for most of the time. So making sure that you're hitting from the fairway is very important, but a lot of people can get there. So particularly I know there's a lot of long iron play that happens at this golf course too. So if you ramp up that one metric from like 200 to 225, 250, you're going to have those approach shots as well, along with those shots are being used off the tees when they're laying up as well. So guys that are good in those ranges will be more efficient off the tee when they have to lay up too. So that's one thing I'm looking at. And then it's just birdies and par 5 scoring and hitting good shots. Like if I'm looking for guys from 100 to 150, you got to be knocking it goddamn stone dead as much as you can, because like Kenny said, hitting it to 10 feet is pretty darn tricky to kind of get in the hole because of the slopes on these greens. So hitting it close is very important. And in the wind, without the wind, it's going to be easy to do this week.
I think the long iron play comes in the par 5. I'm actually probably looking more at like real short irons, 100 to 150. You're looking at over 40. You're looking at over 40% of all approaches from those. So, off the tee, I don't think you have to look too much. I think the big thing is the second stroke course. And if those greens are firm, even without the wind, I do expect some more missed greens than usual, 3,500 square feet when it comes to these greens at Pebble. They're tiny, tiny, tiny. And if these greens are firm at all, even without the wind, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. And we'll have to see as they go. Again, they could just water the fuck out of them because it is a Pro-Am. So we'll have to double check and see.
You can't let them get even close to crispy, because if the wind picks up, then you're screwed. Like they have to be protective early.
I mean, you can not mow it, but I mean, like, and keep the greens, sort of not fast, but you don't have to water them. All right. You don't have to make them soft. So we'll see. I mean, the players out there like to play hidden giggles, and that's all they want to see nowadays. So more than likely it's going to play easy, but we shall see. I mean, you saw like 87 people withdraw from Torrey, probably because it was playing too difficult. They didn't want to come back after a shitty round after that second round. And then a lot of them had to come back in 2 weeks when they play again for the Genesis, but we shall see. What's next?
The kickback golf betting segment is going to be where we go next. I am rocking a Arkansas John Daly Razorbacks basketball top, which is pretty darn sexy, if I do say so myself. Lets you show up the guns. And as we know, we've got female viewers. We want those guns in full force for your man. So buy him a nice basketball cutoff. And if you don't want to see those skinny ass arms of your boyfriend, then go ahead and get him a baseball one, because those will cover it up. And we know how long those sleeves are on those kind of outfits. Completely gone off script here, but kickback golf stuff is amazing. I love all the different prints that they have from the alma maters. We've got all sorts of different names on there. Sung Jays, Tom Kims, we've got John Daly's, DJs, and a whole lot more over there. So go check it out. It's on your screen right now. You can see what's going on for the kickback golf betting segment of the week. And Kenny, I'll lead us off with some outrights, and then you can give us yours, and then I'll bounce back to some matchups. So starting off, should we go highest to lowest or lowest to highest?
Whatever the fuck you want to do, dog.
Okay, my brother. Let's go from lowest to highest, as always. We're going to start off with Hideki Matsuyama, 22-1. I mean, we are looking at some odds here, Kenny, that have Colin Morikawa, that have Justin Thomas, that have a whole bunch of dudes ahead of him. This guy's won more than all of them combined in the last 2 or 3 years, and they're giving us odds that are crap relative to the guys ahead of him. And this guy's going nuclear right now. What I might have noticed over the weekend is he's not the best handling rough weather. Both of his really bad rounds was when the wind picked up. Forecast as of right now seems calm, and Hideki Matsuyama storms off. I think that's the only high pressure system coming through. Pebble Beach this week is Hideki Stormayamas. So
another
I think
worry about Decky, just you're talking about weather. We're looking at like 55 mile per hour or 55 degrees as the high. I think it'll be fine, but you're right. I think it's more about the wind with Decky, but it's one thing I forgot to mention on the course preview. It's going to be cold.
Yeah, 55, but with no wind, 55 can be very comfortable as well. All things considered, coming from a Midwest man myself. So I'll move along from Decky, who's putting, like we mentioned, a putting contest. Hideki's putter has warmed the hell up. It is now a weapon too, and we can see him go scorchers with the irons. I love Hideki Matsuyama at that price compared to the guys around him. Keegan Bradley. This guy's going to win a tournament before the Ryder Cup. I can tell you that right now. He wants to find himself on that team automatically and completely butcher this whole American game plan by putting himself on the team and having to replace the captain with another vice captain who's ass, blah, 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 all that jazz. We can get to that at some other point. But Keegan Bradley's playing some great golf, some decent course history here, some great form at the last little while. I love the 50-1 number on him, and I've rocked a top 5 for him too because the 50s at FanDuel. I went to DraftKings and grabbed a plus 750 top 5 with Tyus Payton full. Now we start getting a little higher up there. We know, now I love doing this, is picking the guy 2 or 3 weeks late. But Nick Taylor, we've seen him perform at golf courses where he performs at, right? He plays his best golf at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. He's now won at the Sony where he's played good golf before. So Nick Taylor's won the Pebble Beach Pro-AM. He's won a tournament recently. This guy gets hot. He plays good golf early in the year, it seems. 80-1, what are we doing? Like, that number is massive for a guy that's just shown us when he gets into contention, he's going to wax your ass. Going to wax your ass. And I think at 80-1, that's a very fair price to pay. At Bet Rivers, you get yourself a 5-place each way. And then I'm going to rattle off a couple more. Wyndham Clark, past winner here, 50-1. I mean, I'll just take a gamble on him at that price tag. I think the win equity, if he just gets it together at a golf course he's played well at before, 50-1's fine. And then I got Nico Echeverria. Pat tweeted that out, 190-1. What are we doing with that? I mean, I feel like this course really suits him nicely too.
It's funny, right, that we see all these guys with multiple wins are the ones with like the high odds. Like, these are the guys that win multiple times. Right?
I know.
I mean, I know it's not usually in these fields, but it's just so weird to see like the top guys, they don't win.
And these guys have won shitty tournaments. That's how you get confidence to win bigger ones. We've seen this happen with Wyndham Clark. You know, like, he didn't just go win the US Open, he won the Wells Fargo. You know, that's what happens. So you have to go and build up this momentum. And these are dudes that have done that. They've proven like they can contend. I mean, Nico didn't play terrible to get himself into the mix. He was solid down the stretch. So only got waxed by Nick Taylor there. And then Mackenzie Hughes. This guy's a 3-time winner on the... What are these numbers that are 200-1 on this dude? I understand the course history isn't incredible, Kenny, but he can be one of the best putters on the PGA Tour any given day. He is a top 10 putter on the tour anyway. And then Andrew Novak, 200-1. It's like, he's just shown us he's now... my model's been grading him really high all season. I've been betting him top 40s, and he's kind of screwed us over a touch. It finally came to fruition when I jumped off of the guy last week. So that's how that goes, but it is what it is, and we're not going to get double dipped. Maybe he screws us on the back end again, but at 200-1, that's a total gamble I'm willing to take on a guy that's literally shown us irons and putter. That's what he can do. You know, I think his driver isn't that big of a deal here. So those are my guys, Kenny: Matsuyama, Bradley, Taylor, Clark, Echeverria, Hughes, and Novak.
So my outrights, I was going to start with either Justin Thomas or Morikawa, right? And you look at Morikawa, he has one win in the last 40 months, right? Justin Thomas, I don't even think has, I don't even remember his
PGA Championship, 2022.
Yeah, a couple of years ago was his last win. And so, but I just think I see it more from JT. I was going to bet both win only, but I decided to go JT 22-1 with 3 places. You know, his form is so almost there. A couple of runner-ups recently. I feel like a win is more coming for him. I think a win's coming for both, but just from what I've seen, you know, I like JT's potential. I would not go against the Morikawa bet here. The issue, of course, is him on Sundays. He hasn't been like the greatest. The funny thing is, last year was like his best season around the green and putting, and his worst season with his irons. Once that iron play comes back together with his good putting and good around the green play, I mean, it could be on, but it's been a while since he's won, man. And we talked about it. I made a tweet, you know, 1 win. You know, Steph Straka has 3 wins in that time. Nick Taylor has 3 wins in that time. Billy Horschel has 4 worldwide wins in that same time, in that 40-month span. Davis Riley, Patrick Reed, Bryce Garnett all have the same amount of wins as Morikawa. At some point in time, you got to be like, what's going on with him? And I think he'll be fine, but if he doesn't win this season, it's not great. I asked if he was overrated, and I would say about half the people that commented said he was. So watch it now. Morikawa's going to win because it came down to Morikawa and JT for me, and I went JT. So for people who believe in the Kenny curse, maybe you go with JT on that one. But I'm going to go 22-1 with Justin Thomas for this one. I like and that's 3 places with JT. I think the number is 14-1 right now if you only get 8 places. So I went ahead and took the 3. He's had some runner-ups here recently. I'm going to go with that. I like Jason Day, 30-1, 8 places. Again, for all the reasons you said, the course history here, you got to expect a win coming in here at some point in time. He's gained 3+ strokes with his approaches in back-to-back events. It's the first time he's done that since 2022. And what's really been a problem for him so far this season, why his finishes haven't been better, is because of his putting. And Jason Day is a great putter at Pebble, especially. So if he continues to ball strike like he has been, at the beginning of the season, and he adds that putter, I think a win is very, very logical for him at 30-1. Next up, it's going to be Tom Hoge. Hollywood Hoge at 70-1. Again, another guy with good course history. 8 places. I'm going with Hoge. He's had a decent finish already this year. Plays his course well. The shorter tracks seem like the ones where he'll do better. I got 75-1 for Keegan Bradley. But wow. 3 places. Okay. Now, the reason why I went 3 places for Keegan is he has 10 top 8s in his last 50 starts. I usually go 8 places with my each ways, right? He has 10 top 8s in his last 50 rounds. 7 of them are first or second. 70% are first or second. He only has 3 finishes outside of between 3rd and 8th, right? In that time. So that's why I went and I took his number, because it was 40-1. It bounced up all the way to 75-1 with the 3 places. And it just made sense to take that bet instead of the 8 places because of that stat that I just rolled out.
Yeah, I love it.
Next, it's going to be Justin Rose at 110-1. That's 8 places. Again, the course history, the lack of respect. I do think Rose knows that it's going to be
Ryder Cup. Yeah,
it needs to be a good year for him. He needs to make that Ryder Cup team to start his season off. Hasn't been the best, but coming to a course that he's extremely comfortable at, I think would be good for him. So I like him at 110-1 with 8 places. And then my final one for now is going to be Leroy Hodges at 150-1. The course history is not there. But 3 top 15s in his last, 3 top 10s in his last 4 starts. I think, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 top 10s in his last 3. The form is there for this guy. And when you look at his number, he's all the way down at 6,500 on DraftKings. Man, where is he? Maybe he's not. There he is, Hodges. His iron game is impressive. Tee to green, top 25 in this field, right? Makes a ton of birdies. He's top 20 from 100 to 125 and 125 to 150. He's first in strokes gained par 5, right? All in the last 24 rounds. This is coming from a guy that's 150-1 with 8 places and $6,500 on DraftKings. I'm going to be using a lot of Leroy Hodges this week in all forms. So that's my card for the week. One more time, we'll go over it again. Jason Day, 22-1 with, Justin Thomas, 22-1 with 3 places. Jason Day, 30-1 with 8 places. Hollywood Hoge, 70-1, 8 places. Keegan Bradley, 75-1, 3 places. Justin Rose, 110-1, 8 places. Lee Hodges, 150-1, 8 places. I'm still well under my budget. I might add either a couple of more long shots or somebody in that 60 to 80 range. Check my final card out. I'll release it on X on Wednesday night.
Yeah. And if you guys are absolutely desperate, Kenny's done a few sneak peeks. He's let a few nudes slip on the X line there with some outrights. So he's done, I saw that sneak out there early this morning. And by the way, Lee Hodges is $6,200, Kenny, not $6,500. So even better. At least that's what I'm seeing. So, you know, I'm just making your case even stronger for him. And I love that. 3 top 10s, by the way. That's the number. So in the last couple starts. Impressive stuff from him. Let's dive into a couple Maniac placement bets for you guys. As always, I will be doing the entire betting card for the placements tomorrow on 7 Eastern on Mayo Media. Back 9 Bets is my show on the live tab. Check it out. The first one, as always, if you are part of the show, you know, Sam Burns, top 10 bet at plus 260. Sam Burns finishing inside the top 10 at a 38% clip, plus 260, 28% implied probability. Just a normal, random, and he's playing some good-ass golf right now. I love his ability to make putts on this golf course. Let's go. As always, freaking Shane Lowry. We're just going to keep going. The whole point about writing these bets is not to jump around and just follow the process. Take the big edges where you can find them. Last week was a disaster with him, but we're going to go back to the top 20 market with Shane Lowry. Finishing inside the top 20, 2 out of every 3 starts, people. The top 20 bet is a 43% clip. So, I mean, we've got 20% edges there for a top 20 bet on Shane Lowry. He's not suggested to bet any other bet, top 5, top 10, or top 40. I wouldn't go there, just top 20s for him. And the same thing for Tony Finau. He's plus 150 for a top 20, which I'll be going to as well, along with his last 2 missed top 20s that he's provided us in the beginning of the season. Redemption time for Big Tone. And then I'll hit you with a nice little Harry Hall top 20 at plus 190. I think he's one of the sexy options there at plus money. I think he's been really consistent. Doesn't typically find himself in the top of the mix, but he definitely finds himself inside the top 20 a lot more. I don't have him for a single top 5 in the last 12 months outside of his alternate field win. So it's been a tough stretch for old Harry Hall, but he finds himself inside the top 24 out of every 10 starts. So those are a couple guys that I'll be looking at for sure. I'll throw out Max Grieseman as well for a top 10 at plus 375. This guy's just doing incredible stuff every single week. And I think this golf course really works into his favor as well. He's really solid with the wedges and hits a lot of putts in the goddamn hole, Kenny. Should we get to some DFS tears, blood, and sweat?
Yeah, let's go to this 10K range. I mean, there's 3 guys, Colin, Rory, and Scotty. The big question is, do you play Scotty? Coming off a break, coming off a hand injury. Is this a time where we're going to see him at like 22%, 21% instead of 28, 29, 30, 32%? Or are people still...
I think if people get rambunctious on him early, we could see people fade him hard because they don't want to take high ownership on him. Or if he gets off to a slow start and we start seeing ownership in the 20s, everyone getting tentative and they're like, ooh, I'll take a 20% Scotty. It could ramp up a little bit as the week goes along. You know, I think that there's 2 narratives on how this ownership can take place. And I think if people are pushing people off of Scotty this week on shows and projections and things, we might see a lot more people on Scotty come lock. So that's my take on Scotty. I think there can be a lot of reverse steam this week on him, given how volatile of an option he is. He can make or break your slate, Kenny. So,
yeah, no one's going to play Rory, right?
I don't think so. I mean, why would you at a golf? I mean, he's not ever played well yet. I think people would just easily go to Colin next.
Are you worried? I know this is funny, but he's playing PGL right now. It's 7 o'clock. It's probably already started.
Is it on Monday
ESPN.
or Tuesday?
It's on Monday because it's on today.
They have to
yeah, so they can get Rory onto the course. He's not there yet. I mean, are you worried about that at all? I don't think I am, but it's just something to think about.
I was on a walk earlier, Kenny, and I was thinking literally that. I think it was Adam Scott, Keegan, and Rory are all on the same team, aren't they? So
yeah, I don't think it's
JT.
a big deal, but I was curious.
I don't think so. You know, they'll get there, and they've played Pebble so many times. I think they'll be just fine.
It's possible that I fade the entire 10K range. It's very, very possible. And I just go straight to the 9K range, and I'll go with my first cash game cornerstone. It's going to be Justin Thomas. Pretty easy. We've talked about him already. That's going to be my first cash game cornerstone play. I like Hideki just like you. I think my second cash game cornerstone play is going to be Patrick Cantlay at $9,400. Both of these guys, good course history. Both of these guys coming in with some type of form. I know Patrick a couple of events ago had a top 10. what's his face? JT had a runner-up finish recently. So the form is there. They both look good on my model. Those two are going to be cash game cornerstones for me. I do now. I mean, can't let Hideki seems like a guy that, like you said, would be a good play. Who else do you like in this 9K range?
Yeah, I think Cantley is nice to think about. Does it work out for you? Like, is he going to give you that top 5 equity that we've been searching for? It's just been really difficult for him to produce that for us, but you never know. I think he's a really safe play for cash game cornerstone there, Kenny. I might get off of him and play Sam Burns instead in GPPs if I'm leaning that way. We'll see what the ownership does there. I've got Sam Burns graded better than Cantley, despite the poor course history. I think he's also a great fit. So we'll see what Sam Burns can do. And then I think Sungjae. Do you think he's going to be very popular, Kenny, or do you think?
I think at that price tag he'll be popular. He was originally on that my cash game cornerstone short list. I went ahead and went Cantley instead. But I think he will be popular. You know, when it comes to Sungjae, you get a bunch of good performances in a row, and then you get a stinker. Hopefully the stinker was a couple of weeks ago, and he keeps going with these good performances. And the 9K, I think it's definitely worth the risk. We'll just see how it is when it comes for ownership.
Yeah. And I'm just like, if I'm going to go with Hideki at the cheaper outright price, I'm going to hammer him at $9,600 with JT, Colin, Ludwig ahead of him in the price tags. You're getting a price discount on a better golfer.
And probably an ownership discount too.
And probably an ownership discount. So I ended up pivoting to Hideki off Jason Day last week. Didn't quite work once Willie Z withdrew, but we can chat about one and done after the blood, sweat, and DFS tiers over here. Tommy Fleetwood, Kenny, more of a cash game play than anything else for you?
Fleetwood, I'm not playing. No Fleetwood for me here. Like when you go to the 8K range, of course, I like Jason Day a lot. He's in my cash lineup. My third cash game cornerstone is going to be Keegan Bradley. Again, we talked about him earlier. I like the lower price guys in this range when it comes to GPPs. I like Taylor Pendrith a lot this week. It seemed like his game would fit extremely well with his prowess with the short wedges, how good he is on shorter par 4s, how good he is on par 5s. Again, scoring on that north course, you're going to need to score on those par 5s. If the wind picks up at all, you're going to have to score on those par 5s at Pebble. That's how you're going to get your scoring done. And he's one of the top out there. Hits a lot of birdies, really strong tee to green. I like Pendrith. I think the price tag is good. Very, very fair for him. And I like Maverick McNeely. Again, another guy who putts well on POA, whose iron game we've seen actually been pretty good coming up so far in this season. I like him a lot at 8,100. It's very, very fair. Who do you like in this range?
Taylor Pendrith is very appetizing, Kenny, but he's going to be the chalk of the city in this range because he's providing you with so much safety on top of decent upside. He's just
who's the
consistent.
pivot? Is it Will? Do you take the risk?
I don't know if I like Will Zalatoris, given the fact that the winner could get to -20. Yeah, I'd go Wyndham Clark. He typically goes under-owned. He's high volatility. He's not going to give you nearly as much safety as Taylor Pendrith.
Only 1 year last year.
Yeah, exactly. So he's 1 year before, and he's ripping off top 10s and top 5s quite repeatedly. So you've always got that with him, and probably at half to a third of the ownership potentially. Yeah, I think he's the guy, and along with Keegan Bradley, I'd be in the mood for him too. What about some Sepp Straka on the way out, Kenny? Bottom of the 8K range. I feel like this is a kind of a venue for him in a weird way.
Yeah, I don't think he's played well here in the past, but it's definitely someone to keep an eye on. He's got motivation. He's got confidence coming in with a win a couple of weeks ago.
26th year last year.
If the course does end up playing hard with firmer greens, he's played harder courses pretty well. With the Honda, with he won that with win. So yeah, I definitely don't hate the play. It's not one of my top guys up there, but I definitely don't hate Giuseppe when it comes down to it. And when you go down to the 7K range, I think I'm going to fade Tom.
Before I forget, we have to speak about the guy that we would bet, but not playing DFS. That was one of the funniest comments I've ever seen on the show. And we asked you guys last week to give us a name for who you would bet, a chalky-ish guy that you would bet, but not DFS because of the chalk coming that way. Any? You want to tell the
This
people?
week, I forget
what
the
the
name.
answer
What'd you call it? What'd they call it?
Mike, let us know.
The better fish.
The better
yeah.
fish.
There was a reasoning behind it. What was the reasoning behind that?
Because you want to drizzle butter all over that bed and then be part of the fish in the DFS pool. Never be part of the fish. You always want to be lathered up in
Bet
butter,
or
baby.
fish. All right. So
Bet
I mean,
or
I
fish.
think the bet or fish play for me this week is Hollywood Hoagie. This week at $7,300, you would expect him to be very, very popular when it comes to DFS, and it could be worth a fade here because again, he's not the most consistent guy, but when he plays well, he can string off a lot of birdies and get in contention. And we've seen him. Did he win here or
Yes.
come runner up here? Yeah,
He won,
so
yeah.
we know that he could do it. So I think it's $7,300 with him being maybe 15% owned or higher. For a 7K guy, it's pretty high. That's chalk. I think he
That's
would
chalk.
be my better fish guy of the week because I am betting him at 71, and I am thinking about fading him this week. Anybody for you in that?
I will piggyback the better bit. Let's make it. We can do a group squad ride. Tom Hoagie top 20. It's got 3% edge. It's not something I would typically go to, but Tom Hoagie has returned you $400 betting top 20s, Kenny, over the last 12 months. If you're betting to win 100, it's easily his best market.
I don't think we're talking about placements. It's outright or
no.
DFS.
That's the whole point. It's like you can hedge a placement bet. You and your placement disinterest now needs to figure this stuff out. The whole point about this bet is to get you into the placement world because you can hedge a Tom Hoagie 18th place finish at 15% ownership with a top 20 bet.
Yeah, well, I'm old and I hate change. So
Kenny, come on, just
do
do this one. Just do the better fish bet with us.
I'll do it live. I'll do live placements and stuff like that. But I ain't putting no placements down beforehand. I want to put all that shit on outright so I can win more fucking money. That's just the way. That's the way I'm gonna go about it. But let's go more. Let's go more in this 7K range. Of course, my final cash game cornerstone is Denny McCarthy. Couple of top 15s here. Really good finish a couple of weeks ago. Again, a guy who could putt the lights out. His iron game has actually been looking half decent here recently. So cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Justin Thomas at 9,800. Patrick Cantlay at 9,400, Keegan Bradley at 8,500, and Denny McCarthy at 7,000. This leaves you 15,200 to complete a round, and you can fill it out with Jason Day and Justin Rose and make your cash lineup right there. But one guy I do like, again, I hate his face, but I'm going back to Mr. Bo Hostler. He had a pretty good finish last week. One more birdie, he gets me to placement points. He finished top 15. One, I think maybe 2 strokes. I think 1 stroke better would have gotten him in 9th. So I think he finished 15th. But again, a public guy, played well here before in the past. Iron game has been looking strong, right? Anytime you catch an elite putter whose ball striking looks like it's improving, you got to jump on him. I think you got to jump on him. I like Bo. It could be a bet for me too. I think his number's around 60 to 70. It's possible I add him and him being my final guy because I think a win is coming for him. I like him. I really like him at this price. I'm going to use the hell out of Big Bo. And again, I'm going to play another guy I hate. I'm going to play, what's his face? Fucking the Scottish motherfucker, Robert McIntyre, right? I'm going to play Bob here. Iron game, tee to green strong, makes a lot of birdies, good on short par 4s, above average on par 5s. I like the lefty here. Other guys say, who do you like in this range? I know you're going to pick Siegele. What are we doing with Jordan Spieth?
Jordan Spieth, my rule, it's a simple rule. You ride the roller coaster with Jordan Spieth on your own, so you're just dealing with your own vomit. You don't want 1,000 other passengers throwing up on you as well. Because
so you play him but don't tout him. The non-toutable player.
Yes. You play him when he's like less than 10% owned. You want to be on that roller coaster. Me and you, Kenny, we want to make eye contact when that, slappy peas and corn hit us in the face. We want to be just us intimately dealing with the disaster that is Jordan Spieth.
But
Well, it depends how popular he'll be. But
don't
I'd
expect
imagine
him to
people
be-
want to just
yeah.
kick the shit out of him first
I don't
tournament
know.
back.
I'm
Healthy.
fading him and Tom. Both of these guys up. Tom is not good right now.
Kim? Tom Kim?
Something's wrong. Tom Kim, not good. Something's off. Not playing him. Jordan, I can't trust after being off for that long. They're going to be fades for me. Now, again, I'd rather play Jordan than Tom. And that's saying something because Jordan hasn't played in forever. And I'm just not a big fan of Tom. Right now, the way he's playing, the way he's looking on the course, doesn't look like he's having fun again. The last time I saw him look like because you see him at feature groups all the time. The last time I saw him looking like he was having fun was the Ryder Cup. When he's in these stroke play events, he doesn't look like he's having a good time.
Yeah.
President's Cup. So he's off for me. Who do you like in the 7K range?
I'm going to give you another better fish, Kenny, and it's Bo Hostler. Finishes inside the top 10 only 7% of the time. Inside the top 20, 34% of the time. Like, he's just a comfortable motherfucker just sitting between top 20 and top 10. That's all he does. He just hangs out there in the he's in the friend zone of betting. That's where Bo Hostler is. He's put himself in the friend zone. He wants no commitment, doesn't want to have to do what a boyfriend needs to do, but he's going to just like enjoy looking at her from afar. He's going to look at that trophy, think it's just fine. I'm out on Bo Hostler. Give me the top 20 bet. I've played that bet already.
Now I'm
plus
definitely
175.
betting him. Definitely
Please.
betting him.
I'll tell you who's not going to
definitely
win. It's him. I never said
Definitely
Harris English
gonna win.
last week. Bo Hostler, this guy, he melts like butter under pressure, but love him for a bet at plus 20. Top 20 there, plus 175. Adam Scott, got this guy ranked 11th. He's the 29th ranked golfer in DFS pricing. He's phenomenal. He's got the second best Pebble Beach course history. They're playing here 3 times. Like, let's go. This dude's been balling out. I mean, if you take a look at his recent form in 15th at the TOC, that's basically all he's done in the last little while. He's a great guy to go to. Gets off to a slow start as well in round 1. You can definitely get some Adam Scott live if you're in the mood for that. I think some other names, Nick Taylor. Why would I not play Nick Taylor? I think a little bit of him is always on the cards. Cameron Davis as well has got some decent course history at $7,000 flat. And then I'll start spilling into the 6K range as we go along here, Kenny. Aaron Rye. I've bet this dude for a top 10, top 20 as well. $6,900. Hasn't necessarily played the greatest golf. He has only played here once, but this dude was balling out towards the end of the season as well. So this golf course perfectly suits him, don't you think? He just hits it 290 yards, middle of the fairway, and then he's dialed in with the irons, makes the putts. So love Aaron Rye and Andrew Novak at $6,700 too.
Rye was definitely my first click when I saw the 6,900, and Novak was my second click at
Good.
6,700. So I'm definitely on board with those
And then
two.
Mackenzie Hughes, $6,200. I have him ranked so much higher than it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense with someone that's finished inside the top 10, 30% of their starts in the last year is $6,200. Just doesn't make sense to me. He's a great putter. So really good with the wedges too.
Kerry Woodland seems like he's interesting at $6,500. Now, here's the thing about the withdrawals from last week. Supposedly there was a stomach bug. They went around and it affected a lot of the players. And that's why I think the majority of those players withdrew. So I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, stomach bug, you're over it in a couple of days, you're fine. I don't think it's going to affect the games. With guys like Willie Z, guys like Gary Woodland, stuff like that who withdrew before the event. I don't know if I'd worry about them as I normally would when it comes to withdrawing the week before. But, Gary's 1 year before. I loved him last week. I'll jump on board again. I'm going Lee Hodges, one of my favorite plays. We already spoke about him. Nico makes sense. 2 or 3 time winner at $6,500.
If you want to sprinkle a guy in that's high volatility, Mathieu Pavon at 6,100. If you're playing GPPs and you just want to have 5 of him in 150 lineups, he's going to pop at some point. We just never know when.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Rose, Justin Lower. Rose is going to be in my cash lineup. The course history is there. Justin Lower is just a guy that I like. Could poke it out there, do his thing. We saw it a couple weeks ago at the Amex. So I can go back to him. Anybody else down here?
Just pretty much all the outrights that I bet in that range, I'm going to be playing as well. I think that makes tons of sense to go that route. You're going to need some $6,900 guys to really go heavy on the top, like Kenny said, and we gave you quite a decent chunk over there. Kenny, what are we doing for one and done this week?
I think maybe Keegan.
Okay.
I think I'm
So
gonna
someone
go
from the
Keegan.
8K range?
What's up? Yeah, I like Keegan this week a lot. I think he can win. I'm not using like somebody who's going to be a humongous play later on in the year. I'm not using like a Scheffler or a Xander or a Rory or a Hovland, even though those Hovland's not really playing well. But I'm playing a guy who I think that can win. Who I don't know if I'm going to use again for the rest of the year or how important that would be. Now I do have to pick an international player as well because I do the Slider Cup, which is another league that I'm in with it started with the local talk radio guys and it sort of branched out into almost 100 guys in the league and it's decent money. And you pick one international and one USA guy each week. And so I'll keep the international guy under wraps. But I haven't decided yet. So we'll see about that. But I'm going to play Keegan for the USA.
Okay. I see you. I think Adam Scott wouldn't be a terrible option there, Kenny. I'm going to go with Wyndham Clark as my one and done. This dude, I think we're going to get low ownership on him there. And when he gets into contention, I don't think you want to play Wyndham Clark at a single major this year. He's terrible in majors. So that eliminates 4 big tournaments already, and he dominates signature events. So I'm going to take him at a golf course that he's dominated before, and it's this week. So Wyndham Clark would be my number one pick. And then if you're looking for like insane amounts of chalk, I think Patrick Cantley's not the worst option. He'll get you, say, if you're like in the lead, you're not looking to catch up. But I think at this point in the season, you're looking to catch up, right, Kenny? You're just swinging for the fences early.
Yeah.
Depending on your size of your one and done, blah, blah, blah. Kenny's checked out of my one and done pick. Let's get the heck out of here as we rock and roll and close up the 400th episode of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates. Kenny, I'm very proud of you, my man. Very, very proud of you that you managed to get this far in life. To do something 400 times is a big achievement.
I'm shocked I'm still alive. So yeah, it works out well.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest achievement is just being available to do 400 episodes probably for you is a massive, massive achievement. So congratulations. One more time over there. You can catch me on X at The Model Maniac. I'll be doing my show Back 9 Bets on Mayo Media Network live tomorrow night or Tuesday nights at 7 Eastern. And then as always, you can catch my stuff in my Patreon, The Model Maniac, where I have all my tools and all that jazz, which you guys will be commenting for, as Kenny mentioned at the beginning of the show. Kenny, get the hell out of here.
You can find me on X at KendoVT. I'll post all my underdog plays out there, my final betting card, all that good shit. It should be a fun week. Signature event for a lot of money. Let's win some motherfucking money. DJ Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort. Stacking penny stocks while I'm flipping these birds. Sipping on Ciroc, trip 'em up with the word.